Throughout history, man has been the central figure in myths, religions, and esoteric traditions, representing the full spectrum of human potential, from the highest divine qualities to the deepest shadows of the psyche. The symbolism of man in spiritual and mystical context goes beyond physicality. It speaks to the core of our existence, our purpose, and our relationship to the divine. Man is often seen as a microcosm of the larger universe, a reflection of cosmic order and chaos, light and darkness. Across cultures, man's journey has been portrayed as one of self-discovery, growth, and spiritual awakening, with deep ties to symbols of creation, transcendence, and divine potential. In this exploration, we will examine the symbolism of man in various traditions, from religious texts and mythology to esoteric philosophy, and how man represents a spiritual journey towards self-realization and unity with the divine. In many religious traditions, man is seen as the creation of the divine, imbued with a spark of divinity, whether created in God's image or as in Judeo-Christian thought, or as a reflection of divine order in other belief systems. Man is often portrayed as the pinnacle of creation. In Christianity, man is made in the image of God, as stated in Genesis 1:26. This suggests that man embodies divine potential and is an active participant in God's creation. The concept of the fall and the need for redemption speaks to the symbolic journey of mankind from a state of innocence and unity with the divine to a state of separation, only to ultimately seek reunion and enlightenment. In Islam, man, or insan, is considered God's vicegerent on earth. Apologies if I've mispronounced that, people. I've learned through reading. Tasked with the responsibility of stewardship. Man's purpose is to reflect God's attributes, particularly through the cultivation of knowledge, justice, and compassion. The esoteric significance of man in Islam ties directly to the concept of fitra, or natural disposition, indicating that man is born pure but needs to strive for spiritual excellence through devotion to God. In Hinduism and Buddhism, man is often viewed as a spiritual being caught in the cycle of samsara and striving for liberation, samsara being rebirth, a cycle of rebirth. Through spiritual practices, man seeks to attain moksha, which is liberation, or nirvana, which stands for enlightenment, transcending the material realm and uniting with the divine. These traditions emphasize that man is not separate from the universe, but is part of an interconnected web of existence. The concept of man as a microcosm, a small universe reflecting the larger cosmos, is a common theme in many esoteric traditions. Man's physical and spiritual journey mirrors that of the universe, suggesting that the human soul has the potential to embody the same principles that govern the cosmos. In alchemy, the symbolism of man as a microcosm is central. The alchemists believed that by transforming the self, they could transform the world. The alchemical work is seen as the great work, where the alchemist seeks to purify the base aspects of the self and achieve spiritual enlightenment. This process mirrors the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, a symbol of the divine which represents the perfected soul. In Hermetic philosophy, rooted in the belief system of Hermes Trismegistus, also emphasizes the microcosmic nature of man. The famous Hermetic axiom, as above so below, reflects the idea that man's inner world mirrors the outer world, and by understanding oneself, one can understand the universe. The human body, mind, and soul are seen as mirrors of the heavens, and through spiritual practice, man can align with the cosmic order. In Gnostic traditions, man is seen as an imprisoned soul trapped in the material world. The goal of Gnosticism is for man to achieve gnosis, which is spiritual knowledge or enlightenment, that allows him to transcend the physical world and reunite with the divine. The journey towards Gnosis is seen as a path of inner awakening, where man seeks to know himself as divine and understand his connection to the cosmos. The symbolism of man often takes the form of archetypal figures. These archetypes represent universal patterns of experience that guide man on his spiritual journey and transformation. One of the most powerful archetypes associated with the man is the hero, the figure who embarks on a journey of self-discovery, faces trials, and ultimately emerges transformed. Joseph Campbell's concept of the monomyth, or the hero's journey, illustrates the universal pattern of man's journey from the ordinary world through trials and back as a changed individual. This journey represents spiritual growth, the shedding of the ego, and the realization of one's higher self. In tarot symbolism, the figure of the Fool represents the beginning of the man's journey, full of potential but unaware of the challenges ahead. The Magician, on the other hand, represents man's power to manipulate the forces of the universe, showing that through spiritual mastery, man can transcend his limitations and manifest his will. Together, these figures symbolize the stages of awakening and personal transformation. The archetypes of the King and Sage represent man's potential for wisdom and leadership. The King is a ruler who governs wisely, while the Sage is a seeker of divine knowledge. These figures symbolize the highest expressions of human potential: wisdom, compassion, and sovereignty over the self and the world. They represent the ideal of man striving towards spiritual enlightenment and self-mastery. While man is often depicted as a figure of potential and divinity, many traditions often and also emphasize the shadow, which is the darker aspects of human nature that must be confronted and integrated. The shadow self represents the repressed, hidden, and often uncomfortable aspects of one's personality and psyche. The famous psychologist Carl Jung wrote extensively about the shadow as a part of the human psyche. According to Jung, the shadow consists of those aspects of ourselves that we deny, repress, or fail to acknowledge. The process of integrating the shadow is a key aspect of spiritual and psychological growth, as it allows man to achieve wholeness and self-awareness. In many religious traditions, the concept of the fall of man reflects the idea of mankind's descent into ego, sin, and materialism. In Christianity, this is symbolized by Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden, which brought suffering and separation from God. However, the fall also represents an opportunity for growth, redemption, and the eventual return to unity with the divine. In alchemical traditions, the shadow is often represented as the prima materia, the base substance that must be purified in the process of transmutation. The alchemist's work involves confronting and refining the base elements of the self, turning lead into gold, so to speak. This process symbolizes the transformation of man's lower nature into a higher state of being. Man's spiritual journey is often viewed as a quest for unity with the divine, from religious doctrines to mystical teachings. The relationship between man and the divine is complex, involving both separation and return. In many esoteric traditions, man is believed to carry within him a divine spark, a fragment of God or the Source. This spark represents man's connection to the divine, and the goal of spiritual practice is to awaken and nurture this connection, ultimately realizing oneness with the divine. In mysticism, man is often portrayed as a seeker on a journey to reunite with the divine. The path is one of inner purification, surrender, and devotion, leading to a mystical union with the divine essence. This union is described in various ways as divine love, enlightenment, or an overwhelming sense of cosmic oneness. So to conclude, the symbolism of man represents a profound and multifaceted journey, encompassing the divine, the human, and the shadow. Man is not just a physical being, he is a spiritual entity with the potential for great transformation, enlightenment, and connection to the divine. Through the exploration of archetypes, esoteric traditions, and the confrontation with the shadow self, Man's spiritual journey unfolds as one of awakening, growth, and self-realization. If you found this deep dive into the symbolism of man insightful, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more daily reflections on mystical, spiritual, and symbolic concepts. Thank you for joining us on this journey of understanding. Thank you.